Hi, my name's Kay. I'm 20 years old and this is Figuring Out Your 20s. This episode is called Feeling Lost in Your 20s is Normal. Um, Before I even get into the episode, I'm just gonna talk to you real quick because this episode might just look a little different than the last ones have. I think they've just been pretty formal. I've tried to be pretty formal and just like stay on topic, and that's the video, but I don't really know what it is about today or just like how I'm feeling. I don't really feel like staying in character, I guess. And I don't mean like I'm playing someone else, because these episodes, these videos are honest, and like it's me coming to you as a person who's experiencing, trying to figure out my life, trying to figure out who I am, who I want to be, and just showing you that I am a real person. But at the same time, I still try to give you, the viewer, like a sort of bubble, I guess, to just maybe give the illusion that my life is a little more put together than it really is, or that I am more put together emotionally than I am. And for the most part, the last two videos were very true. Like, my emotions in them was exactly how I was feeling. Um, but with that being said, I still put on a little bit of a mask. And today, I'm just not feeling up for it. I do not want to pretend that I am happier or more energetic than I really am. And I understand that that can be a little underwhelming and like frustrating for you as a viewer, because obviously having someone who's like low energy when you're needing something to pick you up is not the ideal um thing, I guess. But I'm like a real human being is the thing, and I just do not have it in me today to fake it. I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be raw, I'm gonna be myself, and I'm gonna give you what I can. Starting with the fact that, like, lately I've been wanting to film like everything. Um, obvious, well, not obviously, you have no clue, but sooner rather than later, I want to do a day in my life, and that's kind of been taking over my mind and like, I don't know, just popping up in the most inconvenient times. And so I've been filming like a lot of tasks that I'm doing throughout the day, with the idea that, oh, I'm just going to put it in the next video that I film, which would be this video right now. And none of that stuff is going to make it in. One, because this is not a day in my life video, and two, it's just not, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's just not uniform enough. So, yeah. Also, I cannot figure out what to do with my hands and my hair. Um, I'm really just over it right now. I don't want it up, but I don't want it down, and I don't want it behind my ears, but I don't want it covering my ears, and I don't want it behind me because it moves too much, but I don't want it sitting over my shoulders, because then I'll play with it and it'll end up behind my shoulders again. So excuse me if I'm doing a lot with that. On top of that, I don't know what's going on, but I do not like this shirt at the moment. Um, it looked really cute earlier, and I was like, oh wow, I wouldn't mind wearing this, but now it's just, I don't know. It's bringing down my whole mood, and it doesn't look good with my necklaces, which I wear these every single day. Whatever I wear has to look good with them, so it's just annoying me. I think pulling the straps up, I have this problem so much, and it's so annoying, but like whenever I wear a shirt like this, my straps tend to like sit here, just because that's where the straps, I guess, fall on me. Um, but it doesn't look good, at least not to me. It looks better when they're up higher. They never sit there though. They never stay there. The last like pre-episode warning I guess I'll give is that window, as you can see, is open. And the person who lives downstairs has a dog. So if you hear barking, it's him. She also might walk past and she talks quite a bit, so I'm sorry if you hear her. You probably won't, but you might. Now, along with that little side tidbit, typically I film these videos when either I'm alone here in the house or when the other people who live here, excuse me, I'm hungry. I thought I had to burp, but I don't. When the other people who live here are asleep. They're not asleep. They are out in our shared space right now, eating dinner, watching movies. So if you hear them as well, I do apologize. I'm gonna try and keep the cuts in this video very minimal. Probably only gonna cut out like dead air time or like me repeating myself, which I do quite frequently. So hopefully there are less cuts in this video. And I'm preferencing this because you might end up hearing them if I leave something in. Now, to get to the important parts of this video. As I said, this video is literally just me talking about feeling lost in my 20s. Um, and if you don't already know because you haven't seen the previous two videos, I only just turned 20 in April, so last month. It is May, right? Yes. Sorry, the days all mesh together. So I just turned 20 in the beginning of April. I haven't been 20 very long, and I was not obviously, my vocabulary is so short, and sometimes I just can't find the words that I need or want to say. So excuse me if I just like repeat certain words a lot. I don't mean to, but I don't know. I started feeling lost before I was even 20 years old. And so, if you're not 20 or in your 20s, if you're older or younger, um, don't like feel like shamed because, or ashamed, I should say, because I'm 20. I've been feeling lost since I was probably like 13 or 14, maybe, with career wise, and I mean, it really set in my junior year of high school, but I started kind of thinking about what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go with my life before college when I was probably 13. So yeah, you don't have to be 20 years old or in your 20s to feel lost. This is for everyone. This is a very inclusive space where we're honest and raw and nobody should feel ashamed. I want everybody to feel safe. Again, if you see me looking down a lot, it's just because my notes are on my iPad. Feeling isolated and the emotion of being lost. I don't know about you, but I feel like alone. Like I'm the only one struggling with trying to figure out where I am in my life and making decisions, like making decisive decisions about what my next steps are. And um feeling alone in that is like, I don't know, it engulfs you and it makes you feel like you have no one. And yeah, I don't know. That's just how I felt and do sometimes still feel, because I mean, I'm not out of it. I'm still battling the feelings of being isolated and being lost. That was a really horrible sentence. I'm sorry. um I haven't fully found a way to, I guess, overcome the isolation, just because I haven't made a decisive decision. I should say, like a final, a definitive, a final. No, guys, I can't with words today. A definitive decision on what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on. I just cannot do it with words today. I'm struggling. It's honestly making me feel really depressed. I guess a deep breath is called for in this moment. And I'm touching my hair. Again, look at this. Today's also Thursday, and I'm supposed to edit this video and have it ready to publish tomorrow. So I'm a little stressed about that too. But that is not part of this video. Yeah. So I hate repeating myself. I hate whatever this is. I hate feeling like this. Talking about these things are really hard because it does just bring up the emotions, and I'm not very good at navigating this emotion, this like despair and the feeling like it's never gonna end. I'm honestly just horrible with it, and I try to avoid it as much as possible because sitting in it makes me feel like antsy. Like I'm just stuck in one place, and all I want to do is move. I want to get away from this feeling. I want to get out of this feeling. I want to find something else to distract me so I don't have to feel this way. So I'm just not good at talking about it. That's the truth. I'm driving myself a little crazy right now with just how I'm handling it because I want to deliver something that's a lot better than what I was just delivering, but it's really hard. And that is coming out right now with how much I'm moving, with how little I'm looking at the camera, with how much I'm stuttering over my words, with just everything. I don't want to look at the camera because I'm making eye contact with myself, which is even hard when I'm talking about things like this. But I think the hardest part of overcoming the feeling of isolation is just looking at yourself, because you really do have to sit with yourself when you're going through something like this, and that is hard. Dealing with the things inside of your head is hard. And I've personally never been good at that. So it's really hard for me. I'm gonna put my hair up so that way I stop messing with it. And we're gonna see how long that lasts before I start messing with it again. I don't like when it sits like this, so I always fluff it over the back so it's like equal, almost like a peacock tail. And that's just how I like it to sit because it doesn't hang to one side. It doesn't look weird. It just sits in the back. Anyways, so yeah, that's. I mean, you're literally seeing me struggle in the moment. That's as real as it can get. Um, Silence becomes normal. So I think a big part of um feeling isolated by being lost is, not talking about it. I just recently, I think, voiced. I need chapstick. I have a crack in my lip. My chapstick. I don't even. It's in my pocket. Yeah. I just recently, for the first time, uh, had a conversation about how lost I feel on a regular basis with my boyfriend. Um, and again, discussing my emotions is something that is really hard for me, even with someone who I love deeply like him. Like, I don't talk to even my parents about this kind of stuff, so it's not an easy thing for me. Um, but when I started, or when I was really considering starting this YouTube channel, I was like explaining the whole concept to him, and obviously we ended up having a conversation about like how lost I do feel and how I don't know what direction my life is going in or where I want it to go or what that means. I just didn't know. um but I say all that to just say that I spent so much of my time thinking about how lost and isolated I felt about being lost by being lost. Um, I mean, just like hours upon hours. I could be sitting next to my boyfriend in our bed, or I could be at work, I could be spending time with my mom and my little brother. I could be reading a book, or watching a movie, or watching YouTube, or listening to my favorite podcast. But it honestly does not matter because in every direction that I turn, someone is um achieving their dream the way that I wish I could be achieving my dreams. And it just reminds me of like how I feel. And it's constant. So it's just hard. Sorry, I just got a text. It's hard when at every turn somebody is like living what I wish I could be living, and I still don't know how close or how far I am from actually achieving what I have been dreaming of for years. So, yeah, I guess silence just becomes normal because I didn't talk about it. Um, that leads into the next point of not knowing how to talk about it or not having anyone to talk to, which I think a lot of people feel this way, but when you're going through something that's hard and it is really like personal to you, you often feel like you have nobody to talk to about it. And for those people who do like just like no matter what, you feel like you have somebody to turn to, really just cherish that because I mean it's amazing. It's such a privilege to have that, to have someone to go to for every single thing, to just have a an ear to listen to you and a shoulder to lean on. It's something that I wish I had every single day. Um, and I don't. I just it's partly my fault because I am somebody who holds in my emotions. So even though there are people around me who I'm sure wouldn't mind me venting to them, I don't know how to explain this, but I just hold it in. And I mean that's hard. It's hard being someone who is so guarded when it comes to my feelings that I cannot let people in. There's honestly one person in my life who I really feel like I can go to her about anything, and I won't be judged, and she'll hear me, and she won't try to fix my problems, but just like be the ear that I need to lean on, and like we can just talk about it, and she understands. She's very receptive, but she's not always available to me is the thing. Like she's got a life of her own. She just started college this year. She's finishing up her first year of college, so like she's got a lot going on in her own life. And as much as I would love to literally call her every single day and be like, the smallest thing just inconvenienced me. I need you right now. That's not realistic. It's just not. So not knowing how to talk about it is another thing that I I won't say I guess suffer from, or just like am bad about. I when something's really bothering me, I have a hard time bringing it up, and that is honestly like a really toxic trait for me to have because the people around me have no clue what's going on in my head unless I tell them. So if I don't tell them, I end up just wallowing in it. Like I just sit in whatever crappy feelings I'm in experiencing. And it's not good for me, but it's also not good for the other people around me because I mean they just don't know how to support me or help me. Um but it's also like it's not like I could just change that. I do try to talk to people around me, but again, I'm someone who's very guarded in my emotions, so talking about something that I feel is personal to me or makes me feel vulnerable, hard, next to impossible. It's next to impossible. Feeling out of control of my life. I feel that way all the time. Like when I think that I have things figured out, something changes and I'm like, well, what do I do now? Like I thought that maybe I was gonna catch a break and there was gonna be a clear line of sight of what I need to do next, and now that door has closed and I'm looking for the next open window and there just is no clear windows for me to see, you know? Or and not even that it has to be a clear window for me to see, but there are no like um breadcrumbs. There's no trail of breadcrumbs leading me to the next clue, I guess. So it's hard, and I mean like I have felt like I've had no control over my life for a really long time, probably a majority of my life. I've just felt like I did not have a say in how my life was turning out. Compartmentalizing to avoid discomfort. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I will avoid feeling the despair that comes with being lost, or the discomfort, or what was the word that I used earlier? Oh, the isolation. um, as like I avoid it because it's just not something that I enjoy feeling. And so rather than dealing with that or letting it sit in the back of my mind often, I will like tuck it away in a really small, squished, neat box and stick that box in another box and then put it under a cupboard and lock the cupboard and then like tuck the key for the lock somewhere where I won't even think about it. Just because I'd avoid the discomfort altogether rather than sit in something that I know I can't change or control. This is where I am. Obviously, as you can tell, maybe you can't tell, but I did say this in the beginning of the video. I'm not out of feeling isolated. I'm not out of sitting in the silence. I'm not out of not knowing how to talk about it or feeling like I don't have anybody to talk to. I'm definitely not out of compartmentalizing to avoid my discomfort. I'm still experiencing all of that. It's hard. It's hard. This whole video is hard. This is something that's it's so raw. It's so frustrating, like talking about all of this because I literally am feeling it as I'm talking about it, and it's frustrating. It's infuriating. You know, I just had really high expectations for where I would be at my age in my life. I have a lot of pressure on me to perform better than I am. I think a big part of why I even stress about this so much is the fact that um my parents mm, are all still struggling. Eventually one day I want to raise children of my own and be able to give them the security that my parents were never able to give me. I mean, even still to this day. And I'm just really worried that I am not going to be able to do that. And the fact that my parents are almost 40 and halfway through 40. So we'll say my mom's 38 and my dad's, so he's gonna be 44 at the end of this month. He's almost 45 in his mid 40s. And neither one of them have ever owned a house. Neither one of them, I don't mean to air my parents out like this. This sounds so horrible, but it's the truth, and it's things that I worry about for myself. Just had the security of being able to, I don't know, you know, when I was young, I used to move a lot. I mean, every like year or two. And I lived with my dad throughout the school year, and then I would go and visit my mom during the summers. And we moved every 1 to 2 years. And so I never just knew, like, yeah, it just scares me. The idea that I won't be able to provide for my children the way that I wish my parents could have provided for me. And the inner child in me still needs the security that my parents were never able to provide. I mean, still to this day, it's not something that's being met or satisfied. And that is something that weighs heavily on me too, because not having something that's permanent makes me feel scared. This is hard. I don't want to do this anymore, truthfully. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Anyways, um, I guess I've always felt like I lacked natural talent or lacked skills or lacked the, I guess, natural affinity for things. So like some people are naturally more athletic, some people are naturally more smart. Some people grow up feeling drawn to a certain thing in life, like animals or kids or traveling or staying in one place. And I do not feel strongly tethered to anything, which makes it extremely complicated for me to choose one thing to do with the rest of my life, because I have no idea what to do. And I don't feel pulled towards one thing more than the other. And I feel like I just naturally am not good at anything. So, I don't know. wanting the security and knowing your next step. Again, just as I was talking about before, security is something that's like so, I think, primal. It's like a primal need that every person has. Um, and I think security looks different for different people, but I think there is this, like a special kind of security in knowing that there is a next step for you and what that is and how to achieve it and what you're going to have to go through or what it might look like to get there. The confusion of not knowing what to do and the frustration. I think, especially for me, the confusion of not knowing what to do leads to frustration. Um, Me personally, any emotion that I have, whether it's sadness, whether it's desperation, whether it's confusion, it all ends up becoming anger. It's just tiring, you know? And I feel angry that I don't know what to do or how to get there. The frustration behind wasting time. I hate feeling like I'm behind. I'm gonna speed through the last couple points because I'm really just, I can't. I mean, I'm over talking about this. I just need to get to the end of the video. Um, the frustration behind wasting time, which leads to not growing or gaining achievements, which leads to feeling behind, which leads to right now, which feels like the end of time. Um, and I have to remind myself that that's not true, but it's really hard to feel that way in the moment. It takes me a lot of time to step outside of myself and see the big picture that what I'm feeling right now and what I'm going through is not going to last forever. And even if I don't figure out what I'm going to end up doing with my life in the next 5 years, eventually I will get there. And whenever that time comes, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth all the bull crap that I'm going through right now and all the crappy feelings and all the negativity that I experience. Um, so that is this video. I'm sorry that this video was such a downer. I imagined it going quite a bit better than it has, but this was real. This was raw. And I can promise better things in the future. That is all I have for this week. The quote that I'm gonna leave you with is accept what is, let go of what was, and have faith in what will be. For anyone who shares my sentiments in this video, I genuinely hope that you hold this quote near and dear to your heart because it might just be what gets you to that final chapter that you're, and not even the final chapter. It might just be what gets you to the beginning of your book. I hope you have a great week. I will see you next Friday. Yeah.
Bye.